Thanks so much for staying on. I am Pius Kojobaka. Looking at our stories. President Mahama has given the firm assurance the new VAT structure will be implemented in September this year after extensive engagements and parliamentary reviews. Government is currently working with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to review Ghana's value-added tax system aimed at simplifying it and making it less difficult for businesses. Here's President John Mahama.
Reforming the tax system for growth and fairness. Another central recommendation of the dialogue was to reform Ghana's overcomplicated distortionary tax regime, which has become both a disincentive to investment and a burden on the ordinary citizen. Accordingly, the government has moved to repeal 4 punitive and counterproductive taxes within the first 90 days of this administration. The electronic transfer levy, which was known as the E-Levy tax, the emissions levy, and the betting tax. Additionally, we are undertaking a comprehensive rationalization of the VAT regime to remove cascading effects and restore predictability and fairness in VAT taxes. After stakeholder consultation and parliamentary review, these changes will take effect from September 2025. Our goal is to have a leaner, simpler, pro-business tax framework that supports growth and compliance.
All right, let's get to speak to the business community. And of course, we want to engage the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Its Chief Executive, Mark Bedouabuaji, joins us via Zoom for us to have this conversation. Mark, thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us here on Business Live. Now, first off, I want to know, so far, has the Chamber been engaged?
In fact, post the budget, as was stated, that we're going to do some reform within the VAT system. We have had 2 engagements with the IMF, and the main idea was to seek our input and how the current VAT is affecting us negatively. So we met the IMF together with some team members from the Ministry of Finance on 2 occasions. So I must say that on that score, I've had initial conversation. We don't know actually whether our inputs have been factored into the final document that will come out, which we are waiting for. But we expect that once they finalize the document, they will give us a copy so that we can also review and see whether our inputs are factored in. And if they are not, we can ask questions why they are not in, because we raise very important issues that we think that it should be critically be considered in the reform.
Meaning that there isn't any form of, systematic feedback for you to, have your response being heard from government. Is that so?
No, not that. We've had 2 meetings, but there's not been any feedback from them yet. They said they will get back to us after they have listened to the other key stakeholders. Then they will factor in the inputs. But after that, we've not heard from them. So we are hoping, as I said earlier, that the feedback will come as quickly as possible, and have a look at it and see whether what they are presenting to us is conducive for businesses.
But how can the government improve its engagement with the business community to ensure that, well, these concerns you've tabled before them are heard and, of course, addressed?
Well, I think the initial engagement is what they have done, is to listen to us. And then once they go back to their drawing board, we expect that our comments or our recommendations will be factored into whatever they want to do. Once it's done, it's important that they get back to us and present it to us that based on the engagement we've had with you, this is the outcome and this is how the reform is going to be, and even an implementation plan. Then if you have any further input or any further questions, then we will ask. So the process is more of a lot of the engagement. It shouldn't be one-off engagement, and assume that once you have met the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry once or twice, that should be the end of it, and then they will spring a surprise on us that you have met us. So they are coming out with a policy that we have not seen. We want to see the final document, the final policy, the final reform before at least it's implemented. So as a constant engagement, I think September is somewhere about 3 or 4 months away.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that they will get back to us with a final document, or at least something close to that, so we can make our final input into that particular
All right.
document.
So largely, how do you think the proposed VAT reforms will affect your business operations, and what potential challenges or opportunities do you foresee?
Well, the original one, as it is now, we have said it was very complicated, difficult to understand, and difficult to even compute, where you have a VAT that combines the standard VAT together with a levy. And as you may know, the levy translates into a direct cost. You cannot claim an input VAT on that. And even for ordinary SME, computing the standard VAT and that of the levies always becomes extremely difficult for them. And also the rate was extremely high. If you look at Africa, the effective VAT rate is 7%, 17%, but ours is about 21.9, almost 22%, which is an outlier, far away from the average. It's making the businesses very difficult to comply and even very difficult to pay. So we have suggested, if you look at even West Africa, the effective VAT rate ranges between 15% to 18%. So for us to have almost 22%, for me, it was too outrageous.
All right.
So we have suggested that at least we should have a measure of both the standard VAT and that of the levies, and peg it below 17%, below 17%. And I think that once they take out that complication of combining standard, in fact, you won't see it anywhere where you have combined standard VAT together with straight line levies for people to pay. So once they merge the two and they reduce it below 17%, I think it will be flexible for us to also comply. The issue is not even the rate for me. The issue about how effectively they can work with businesses to be able to collect this VAT to enhance compliance. Compliance is key. So once they reduce it, once they modify it and make it simpler, I'm very sure that people will be able to comply and they will get the necessary revenue that they are looking for. So these are some of the suggestions we made. Obviously, there are other complications like refund. Once you are supposed to refund to you, then the GIA will begin to play some games with you. So we raised that issue as well, that when there's a need for them to refund to businesses, they should do it as soon as possible. And also complications, that time they are double taxation because of the way it is being computed.
Very well. Thank you so much, Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedu Abuaji. I truly appreciate your time speaking to me here on Business Live. Let's shift focus to one of our lead stories. The producer price for cocoa is set to increase significantly even before the next crop season, and this will see the dollar value paid per ton go up significantly. However, Cocoa Board is worried about the impact of this on farmers because of the cedi's sharp appreciation. Dr. Radiabe is the Chief Executive of Cocoa Board.
Dollar-based debts that you're expected to pay in cedis would also reduce, but you now need to do the net off with respect to what are the gains you make on the debt side as against the revenue side. And this also has a strong correlation with the producer price, because you know that, for example, for 24-25, the producer price was $3,100, which at that time was 49,000 cedis, because the dollar at that time was 16 cedis when the producer price was announced. So it was $3,100 by 16 cedis, which gave you about 49,000 per ton, and which translates to 3,100 cedis per bag, because 16 bags make a ton, you know, so 3,100 cedis. Now, as we speak, the dollar is selling for 10.2 BOG, 10.2. Now, the 10.2 means that a bag of cocoa should be 1,900 on the basis of the strength of the cedi, because it's moved from 3,100 times 16 to 3,100 times 10.2. And so we should be paying about 1,900 per bag, or paying about 39,000 or so per ton. But Cocoa Board is still paying the 3,100 per bag.
Per the old price.
Yes, and the 49,000 cedis. Now, if you translate that to dollars, what it means is that Cocoa Board is paying $4,800 per ton instead of $3,100. So by virtue of the strength of the cedi, it has adjusted the price from 3.1 to 4.8.
All right, so that's an interesting revelation there with Dr. Randiabe, Chief Executive of Cocoa Board. And on the back of that, we want to expand the conversation further. Joining me in studio now is Nana Opabo, so the second, the President of Concerned Farmers Association of Ghana, for us to have a conversation. And I thank you so much for making time into our studios. Now, first off, you've heard the concerns raised by Dr. Randiabe, the Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, saying that, look, prices will go up, but because of the appreciation of the cedi, you wouldn't feel the impact. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, for a point of correction, it's Farmer General. I know about the.
All right, that's fine.
Right, need to add the title. The dollar has really affected us, though it is helping the country as well. But then we don't determine prices. You know, Cocoa Board, we don't determine prices. The Constitution that determines the prices. So, per Constitution, it says that we, the farmers, have to have the 70% share of the price of cocoa, right? And they take the 30%, government take the 30%, and we take the 70%. So that is what we are calling for, and that is what they have to look at, because most of the farmers now, currently, I'm from Western North that I came, and then there are a lot of concern being raising from the farmers here and there that, well, will our cocoa price decrease or maybe increase due to the dollar rate? But we don't also have to look at it in a way that we will sell our cocoa in dollar. We determine, it's our product. So we can determine to sell our cocoa in pounds, or maybe sell it in euros, or sell it in other things. And then also, we're also telling the Cocoa Board in a way that they don't have to sell all our cocoa to the international market. At least we need to give them like 60% and put a 40% down for production, adding value to it, so that at the end of the day, there will be a lot of money in here. So that is our take on this issue.
All right, so let's make progress. Aside that, Cocoa Board is raising concerns about, you know, the debts incurred over the period, and of course its impact on production of cocoa, etc. And of course, I know you as a Farmer General, like you put it, it's of great concern to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You see, Cocoa Board has done a lot of jobs. I mean, they've done a lot. We can't say that Cocoa Board have done nothing. They've done. But then it's a business that we are doing. And at the end of the day, when you go, the tomato price keep on going up. They get the other produce, they determine the price that they need to sell it. But when it comes to cocoa, because the government have the monopoly, and at the end of the day have a lot of input or maybe help with the farmers in the way, so he determined how much he should give us. But at the end, per the Constitution, says that we need the 70% share of it. And apart from that, our welfare is very important, because the past government, we hit on the, how do you call it, the welfare, which they put wax in their ears. So when this government came, we are still also putting pressure on them so that then our welfare will be paid. If our welfare is being paid all right per the Constitution, and at the end of the day, going into with the Constitution that we need to have the 70% share, I think it is nice and brilliant. And even now, government also want to do business by also producing cocoa, maybe having a farm that can produce cocoa. Well, it is all good, but at the end of the day, the farmers out there, which we represent them, we have a lot of FBOs around. They are crying for price. And this government promises, and we believe in John Dramani Mahama that he is going to deliver. So at the end of the day, we think there's going to be an increment.
And I'm looking at that range you are also focusing on when it talks about, you know, the price range with respect to the producer price of cocoa. The president did give assurance that, look, it's going to be favorable for you. Sure. What are you looking forward to?
Well, that is all that I'm saying, that, you see, we are trading in dollar. I think we can change it. Now that our cedi are hitting the dollar and the dollar is coming down, we need to change it in a way so that the farmers can also benefit by selling our cocoa in pounds. You know, yes.
And what happens if the pounds also devalue?
Oh, I don't think, well, with the pound devalue, then
go back to?
We will go, it's a trade. Stock exchange, right? You buy stock. When you see that this one is going down, you don't follow the trend of going down. You move on to a different place so that at the end of the day you make money. It's a business that we are doing. And at the end of the day, it's the same, the cocoa, that is the backbone of our economy. So if the cedi keep on depreciating, going down and down and down, and we keep on selling our cocoa within the dollar rate, I think we are going to lose, and government is going to lose. So we need to shift from the dollar side to a higher denomination, or maybe a higher currency, that it will benefit the government, it will benefit with the farmers also.
All right. In a minute, what's your outlook? What are you looking forward to in the next crop season, 2025-2026 crop season? What are you looking forward to?
Well, we tell Randy Abbey, though we have not engaged Randy Abbey, but then I want Randy Abbey, if he's listening or watching us this evening, Randy Abbey, Honorable, what we are going to do is we can double up the cocoa production in this country so that at the end of the day, we are going to get more. But at the end of the day, too, we the farmers have our challenges. The road network has been bad. The welfare is not being paid for some years back. The government of the day, the past government, we put it on it. Never, they failed, and there's a new government. That is why we came out. We brought John Dramani Mahama. So what we are saying is, you have to listen to us. We, the concerned farmers, are the people that you need to listen because we are on the ground. We know what is happening. Galamsey has taken a center space on it, which they have to be very careful and then watch it because at the end, they, from the western north coming, dropping from, how do you call it, Echua area, that is the West Achim area. At the moment, the Galamsey is still ongoing. They are killing our cocoa. And this is the gold. You see, that is our gold. So at the end, when the farmers' gold go down, the country will also go down. So we are telling the president that, Mr. President, please, you promise us, and I know we are going to deliver. At the end of the day, we are the farmers, and you know, you're also a farmer. Try your best so that the increment will go well. And then the fertilizers, the input that the farmers need also have to do it to get it quickly for us.
All right, thank you so much, Nana Opabo, so
Farmer General.
Farmer General of the Concerned Farmers Association of Ghana. I truly appreciate your time speaking to me in studio. And you're still watching Business Live, and we have to bring you this story. Tax consultant Francis Timmo is urging oil marketing companies to strengthen their systems and ensure compliance ahead of the 1 cedi fuel levy implementation on June 16. Speaking to Joy Business, he noted that the sector has been instrumental in revenue mobilization and is unlikely to face major compliance issues.
For fuel, commodities like fuel, we do not foresee much challenge. We heard people saying that there's potential smuggling, but in Ghana we don't experience much smuggling like other commodities. So that is why potentially the government decided to go for fuel as a short-term measure, an easy tax to collect. So if the OMCs are able to program their systems to ensure the compliance by 16th of June, I think that we're going to have a smooth compliance measures. Like the Chief Executive Officer was saying, in some cases you even have to pre-finance. You pay the amount in advance before you lift. So the government is assured of a constant revenue, and compliance may not be too big as we see in other tax types.
Hello, welcome back to the program. The total amount of money the Bank of Ghana spent last year in managing currency in circulation and printing went up marginally to hit 1 billion cedis. And we have more in this report for you.
Currency expenses for last year was influenced by a spike in the cost of printing notes and coins by the Bank of Ghana, which rose from 675 million cedis to 986 million cedis. However, legal claims against the Bank of Ghana had reduced from 117 million cedis in 2023 to 107 in 2024. These are cases brought against the bank from some staff over wrongful dismissal, land litigation, and housing issues. The 2024 financial statement showed that monies the Bank of Ghana earned from penalties against financial institutions went up significantly to 161 million cedis. But a careful look at the operational cost may raise some concerns. There's a staff cost at the group that, as the Bank of Ghana and its subsidiaries, has risen by some significant margin to 2.9 billion cedis ending December 2024. Staff loans, on the other hand, stood at 1.6 billion cedis. In 2024, the Bank of Ghana spent 14.4 million cedis in importing foreign currencies to meet the needs of businesses and banks.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Gbagben has called on key state and private sector stakeholders to rally behind the Ghana Petroleum Hub project. According to him, the corporation needs strong institutional support to effectively execute its mandate as the lead developer of the transformative initiative. Speaking at a strategic retreat between the Parliamentary Select Committee on Energy and Petroleum Hub Development Corporation, Speaker Bagwin reaffirmed his unwavering commitment to the project and expressed confidence in its potential to transform Ghana's economic fortunes.
This initiative is an excellent one, and the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation cannot do it alone. They need critical partners. One of the critical partners when you're dealing with developmental, as you say, democratic development. Very good reason why CDD changed its name. It used to be Center for Development and Democracy. But now they removed the "and." A Center for Democratic Development. That is one of the reasons why all government agencies must partner with Parliament on the journey to success. If you don't, you blame yourself. Because of that, our focus in Parliament is to make the concept of Parliament the pillar of democratic development, to strengthen Parliament to be able to carry the load, that huge responsibility of representing the people.
Famous business magnate Sir Sam Jonah has delivered a proposal for Ghana to reprioritize science, technology, engineering, and mathematics known as STEM education, asserting that no nation achieves prosperity in the modern world without it at its core. Now, speaking at the Academic City University's commencement ceremony, the Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast implored Ghana to emulate global powerhouses that have placed STEM at the heart of their national development policies.
Addressing graduates from a university with a bold and unapologetic focus on STEM and entrepreneurship, Sir Sam Jonah, the executive chairman of Jonah Capital, an equity fund based in Johannesburg, South Africa, emphasized that the future is not imagined by engineered.
Ladies and gentlemen, our graduates are graduating today from a university with a bold and unapologetic focus on STEM and entrepreneurship, and rightly so. I came here, I had the privilege of visiting last Tuesday, and I was blown over completely. Because let's face it, no country has built prosperity in the modern world without science, technology, engineering, and mathematics at its core. Nations that have made it, have made transformative leaps, have done so by placing STEM at the center of national policy, not at the periphery. I'll give you examples. China, now the world's second largest economy, produces 4 million STEM graduates every year. But beyond.
And that's our package by way of Business Life. I am Pius Kojobaka. Thank you so much for watching. Do log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business stories. See you soon.